Everybody wants to move their average sales price up and become a luxury agent, but not everybody knows what it takes to do that. Today I'm going to break down 5 specific steps, the strategies you need to go to that next level, become that luxury agent, see your average sales price go up and your business improve. You know, the term luxury agent has been thrown around a lot these days, and it's something that everybody almost aspires to become. But a lot of times what people don't realize is that to become a luxury agent, you got to do luxury things. And sometimes that's where the ball gets dropped. So today what I want to do is I want to specifically talk about the strategies that you can take. I'm going to give you some examples of people that have done these things and how you can become that agent of choice for that higher price point. All right, the first step in this process is to understand that what we focus on, we typically see more of. So what is it that you're focusing on? When we're doing this, in your business, you should have an area that you're farming, geographically farming. A lot of times what we do is we take the lowest hanging fruit or the place that we feel is the easiest. That's not always the best decision to make. The best decision is to be thinking about where is the average sales price that you're trying to get to and how do you become the expert in that neighborhood. Again, we can begin to focus in on that specific neighborhood. If you're not sure about what are those neighborhoods, the characteristics they need, this is a couple things we're going to look for. Number one is we're going to look for there's not a dominant agent in that marketplace. The second thing is we're going to look for some turnover. We're going to look to see that there's opportunity in there. We also want to look and see, is the average sales price in line with the direction and the price point that we want to move our business into? If you answer yes to all of those questions, then now we can begin to move into that. Now you have to understand, a luxury neighborhood is probably going to need a little bit different marketing than your typical first-time homebuyer neighborhood. So what is it that is going to stand out and make you look different to that group? And that's the marketing we're going to focus in on. Now I'm going to talk about specifically a couple of things here. Number one is we need to have consistent mailers going out to that area. We need to look for opportunities to host open houses so we can be physically present there. And we need to utilize video at a high level in those neighborhoods. I'm going to speak specifically to what Noah Escobar's done with one of our luxury neighborhoods here as a 23, 24-year-old now. What he's done in these luxury neighborhoods to position himself as the expert there. You have to understand that people are looking and they're searching online, specifically on YouTube, with specific topics and specific neighborhoods or areas that they're looking for. This is a place where we can get in front of those buyers and potentially those sellers by utilizing that searchable video content. So what are those neighborhoods that are in your area? This is the kind of the system that we want to use. We want to go in first and we want to do an overview video of the neighborhood. We want to highlight the amenities. We want to talk about who the ideal buyer is, where they are in location as far as towards other amenities outside of the neighborhood. Who is the ideal buyer? And then we want to have a specific call to action where we're driving to them to a place, a website or a search place where we can capture their information. The other thing we want to do is if this is a neighborhood that has specific types of homes, or maybe it's a luxury condo, what we want to do there is we want to highlight some of the specific homes in that neighborhood, the floor plans, or in this case, the condo. What do those floor plans look like, and what is the lifestyle that they will create for that luxury buyer? This is going to do a couple of things. Number one is it's going to give us the ability to have the sellers or the owners in that neighborhood understand that we are actually focusing in on this. Again, what we focus on, we will see grow. The second thing it's going to do is it's going to get us in the midst of finding those buyers before they come to town, before they look at these specific products. This is a strategy that has worked for Noah. I know it'll work for you. Become the expert in a specific neighborhood with a specific price point you're looking for, and you'll absolutely see your price point go up. The second step is to be where luxury buyers and sellers are. What is it that group of people, what is it that they're focused on? Where do they spend time? A lot of times it's a couple different things. Number one is you can focus in on specific types of charities, or maybe it's a local organization that you can get involved in. Listen, I would tell you, don't just get involved in something unless you have a passion for it. But if you can align a passion that you have with positioning yourself in the group that has the same passion, that are luxury buyers, promise you're going to get some business that way as well. I've also seen a couple things. You know, Glenda Baker did this when she first started. She had told me the story years ago about she was a single mom living in an apartment, but she wanted to become a luxury agent. So what she did is every afternoon she would spend the time in that neighborhood. So she would load up her car, she would load up the baby stroller, and she would actually go to that neighborhood and she would be walking that neighborhood, pushing that stroller every afternoon as people were coming home. She began to notice things as she would spend time in that neighborhood that she could highlight as she talked to buyers and sellers. She also would wave at people. She would talk to people. She seemed to be everywhere in that neighborhood. You see, when you position yourself where the buyers and the sellers are for luxury properties, all of a sudden you begin to get involved in that community and you get opportunities. I'll give you another example. Heidi Harris. Heidi said that she didn't feel like she was a country club type of person, but her husband wanted to be a part of this country club. So when she went and did this, what she decided to do is she's like, look, I'm going to become a part of that community. She took tennis lessons and she got some new friends. She began to play golf. She'd never done that before and got a group of ladies that she played golf with. She began to be a part of that club and in that community, and consequently, she actually saw her average sales price triple in 1 year by being a part of that community. You see, when you position yourself where you're around the people that are doing luxury type of transactions, you're absolutely going to have opportunities to do luxury transactions. The next step is to plant seeds and be the first person to talk about new luxury neighborhoods. I mentioned Noah a little bit earlier. One of the things Noah did is he did some infrastructure updates that as the neighborhoods were being developed, he talked about them before anybody even really knew what was coming. So he positioned himself in those search bars. I've also seen Jason Gruner did this. He used a green screen video as a backdrop, and he talked about a new luxury condominium coming in Nashville. He talked about the amenities that would be around, and then he talked about the houses that were going to be and how that was going to be the spot to be for those that are looking to have a luxury experience or own in a luxury neighborhood. You see, when you position yourself at the beginning as the first person to talk about it, it's very difficult if you continuously add value through video, through conversations, through talking about what's coming. All of a sudden now, by the time it actually comes into fruition, you're so far ahead of everybody else that it's hard for them to catch up with you. So think about this. Look around and see where the new luxury neighborhoods are coming. Become the expert before anybody even really notices this. Shoot video content that shows with drones showing what's to come when they're moving dirt, the typical type of houses are going to be built, the price points you're anticipating, what the amenities are, and the draw is going to be to that neighborhood. You see, when you're first to the game, you absolutely control what happens going forward. So if you're not in a luxury neighborhood now and there's a lot of competition, because a lot of times we'll see that, maybe it's that you shouldn't focus on where the competition already is. Go where they aren't and where the opportunity is coming. When you get in front of the opportunity comes back to you. The next step is to transform yourself into being seen as the luxury resource for information. So think of it this way. There are certain things we can do to position ourselves as someone who has the information. If you're going to do a video and you're going to talk about a market update, why not talk about what's happening specifically in the luxury area? If you're going to talk about some of the trends that we're seeing in luxury types of construction, talk about those things. If you're going to see specific articles that talks about second homes, investment properties, or someone buying into a higher end neighborhood, utilize that backdrop where you've got that article in the background, for instance, where you're talking about a specific subject. You need to shift the focus from people seeing you as an agent to seeing you as a luxury agent. And the best way you do that is through the things you're communicating. Again, this is a process, but if you're going to be known as that resource, then you absolutely have to have the best information possible. Now let me get specific on a neighborhood. If you're going to be farming a specific neighborhood, a luxury neighborhood, or one of those new developments, you need to know absolutely everything about that neighborhood. If it's an existing neighborhood, you need to know who the original developer was. You need to have an understanding of what those amenities are and how they affect the lifestyle of living in that neighborhood. You need to talk about what's the average price per square foot. You need to know what the history of the sales have been throughout history. You need to know what it costs if someone buys a lot in one of those neighborhoods and builds an actual house. You need to have a resource of providers for that neighborhood specifically, whether that be landscapers, whether that be house cleaners, whether that be pool, whatever it is. You be the resource that has all of the information. This takes time. If you're going to be seen as the pro, you have to become the pro. So take the time to become the person who understands as much or more than anybody else about a specific neighborhood, about a specific area. And I promise that's going to shift you to having the confidence that when you, not if, but when you get that opportunity to sit down at that listing appointment or have that first call with that buyer about a specific neighborhood, that you're going to wow them with everything that you know in a way that they absolutely could not even imagine doing business with anybody else. Last but not least is be visible, be present, and be the person that people think of first. Now, this is something that is going to sometimes become a little difficult for some people, but if you're going to be that luxury agent, especially for a specific area or a specific city, then you're going to have to be seen. Now, we've talked about this, and this is kind of a review of everything. You need to be doing direct mail. You need to be doing video content. You need to be involved in the community. You need to be the person who's walking that neighborhood. Look, if you're going to do some exercise and you're going to walk a neighborhood, or you're going to do a morning walk or an afternoon walk, why not do it in the neighborhood where you want to actually see your business grow. If you're going to be the person who's going to study something, we're all trying to grow, hopefully. If we're trying to grow, study what it takes to be a luxury agent. There are so many things out on YouTube that you can watch. There's interviews you can watch. You know, I'll put it back up here, that interview I did right above. You can see this with Glenda Baker years and years ago where she talked about her process. Study those agents that are doing it well in other markets. Model that. Use that as what you're going to do as a reference. Be completely visible, and you will absolutely, you can't even imagine what that's going to do for your business. I hope this has been helpful, and I'll talk to you soon. Thanks for watching the video. I specifically chose the video below for you because it builds on the one you just watched. I hope it's helpful, and I'll talk to you soon.